Should the poor have to stay in jail because they cannot afford bail, even though the General Assembly has not passed a law mandating it, and the judges overseeing the case have categorized them as being bail eligible? Without addressing this main question, this article should have never been published. Let's do some math. The Tribune reports that these two organizations bailed out about 1,000 people from Cook County Jail. They found data on 162 of them, or about 16%. Of that 16%, more than 20%, according to the Tribune, reoffended while out on bail, although some of those charges were drug-related, and the Tribune really isn't specific by how much over 20% it is. To me, those numbers only show that the Tribune wants to judge the activities of these organizations by looking at a small subset, 16%, of their activities. Doesn't sound like sound journalism to me. A little more math. 89 of the 162 cases found by the Tribune, the offender's original charge for which they were bailed out was possession of a weapon, 54, or unlawful use of a weapon, 35. So 55% of the 162 cases, a person was charged with possessing a gun but not using it. The language used to define criminal acts is often propaganda. Illegal possession of a weapon in Illinois is called unlawful use of a weapon. They're not really using it. Sadly though, carrying a weapon for protection is kind of not an uncommon thing on the south and west sides of the city, outside of the potted plant loop area. In this story, there's no data on what the rate for reoffending is for others that made bail independent of these two organizations. It could very well be that the reoffending rate is 50% for people out on bail regularly. The percentage of reoffending for these organizations and the people that these organizations bail out is comparably really low. We don't know, but the reality is that isn't a sexy story, so that didn't make it into the Tribune article. The data viz in this story, pretty, just not very informative. A more responsible way, in our opinion, to represent the data would have said that 73% of the cases we examined, which by the way was only 16% of all the people they supposedly bailed out, the charge for which the offender was in custody was nonviolent, while about 27% of the cases involved some form of violence. It also would have been nice to remember that those are allegations. They have not been convicted yet. None of that really makes it into the story.